This will maybe jog your mind so at least you can understand what I'm going to talk about. You see, being yourself is one of the biggest achievement that a human being who wants to become somebody can do. One of the best things to do as a person is to identify yourself. And like I said before, a person who takes away your identity will always rule you. And I want to say this and refer to all Africans who are watching right now. Do you realize that every country that was colonized by any European nation are speaking the language of that European nation? Every country that was colonized in Africa by the European nation or the Westerners are naming their children according to the naming structure of the country that colonized you. And then you realize that even right now, as we are here, most of us are Africans. But unfortunately, I cannot speak African because somebody in Uganda might not understand me. I cannot speak Swahili because somebody in Congo Zaire might not understand what I'm talking about. I cannot speak Swahili because somebody in South Africa will not understand what I'm talking about. But I can speak English because all of these nations, all of these African people will understand what I'm talking about. But have you guys ever realized that English is not our identity? That's why speaking good English to me doesn't show how intelligent somebody is. It depends on what somebody is saying. It is not a matter of how good, how well you can speak in English. It is not about how good, how well you can speak in French. It is not your identity. The goodness of us starts from the power of you understanding how to speak your native language. Are you coming from a community of the Sothos? Do you speak Lesotho? Are you coming from the community of the Tutsis in Rwanda? Do you speak Tutsi? Are you coming from the community of the Luyas in Kenya? Do you speak Luhya? That is what an intellectual begins from. You need to be yourself. You need to identify yourself, to understand your identity before you can be in a position to even reason. Some teacher back then, I think I was in Form 2, the 9th class, 8th, 9th, 10th class. People call it 10th grade. And there's a physics teacher who used to tell us that in every dream that every person has in this class, all of you dreams in your mother tongues. Have you ever realized every dream that you have, if you've never been influenced in a workplace or a work culture where people speak only English, where people speak only, French, or where people speak only Chinese or Portuguese, every single dream when you're sleeping, you will dream in your mother tongue. I know people might not even understand that. Have you ever realized that every single dream you'll dream in your mother tongue? Unless you become corrupted with the culture that takes away your identity. So that is the message that I'm starting with. And I want to bring forth something so that you can understand something here. Being yourself gives you the power to know when to say yes and when to say no. We have lost it. We have lost our identity. And right now I have to speak in English where somebody who lives next to my doorstep might not be able to understand my message. Yet I'm supposed to speak to this person. Yesterday, I was doing live on TikTok, and there's a lady who came who wanted to speak. And she could not speak because she didn't know how to speak English. And being that I am the moderator, I could not have allowed her to speak Swahili because 90% of people who watch my videos are not Swahili speakers. But do you know That lady left my life unsatisfied with her problems, with heart still, heavy, just because she could not speak English. Be yourself. Identify with yourself first. The moment you learn to identify with yourself, you will try to struggle, no matter how hard it is to speak in English. But in as long as you can understand me speaking, it means you can speak. Speak it broken, you do not have to care. As long as your message is sent out there, because English is not our identity. Being yourself, who are you? What do you identify yourself with? I identify myself as a Kenyan, and what I can speak well is Swahili. What I cannot speak well is English, but I can speak it. So I will speak only what I can speak. What I can't, I won't speak it. So identify with yourself. Let me remind you something. No one has ever been like you. Nobody has ever been born that's like you. Nobody has ever been like you. And again, remember, no one will ever be like you. No matter how hard somebody tries, nobody can give birth to another you. People can try to copy you. People can try to speak like you. People can try to mimic you, to even paint themselves. People can even go for a plastic surgery to become and mold a face like you. Hey, somebody's telling me, let me into your life. I'm not letting anyone here. If you want to become part of my guest on my live, I always do that during the night hours, and it's always during from 8 p.m. to the rest. On Mondays, we do a class session where I teach, and that's all, brother. So if it is a brother or it's a lady, you can see me aside and we can talk about your problem, but I'm not taking guests at the moment. So your authentic self is one of the biggest power that will make you become the biggest person that you've ever wanted to become. Be yourself, be just authentic. Authentic is the game. You win by being yourself. You win by representing yourself, no matter how bad you're at doing something, no matter how little knowledge you have about something. Be bold enough to speak up so that people can know that you do not have much knowledge and they can teach you. They can give you some knowledge. You need to become somebody who loves himself. You need to be somebody who appreciates the power that is bestowed in you. When you love yourself, when you identify what is happening in your life and you know from which community you are coming from, you win. Now, guys, why don't you need a crowd? I'll tell you something. The topic today is you do not need a crowd to win. You do not need a crowd to be successful. And I'll give a story. There was a story about King David in the Bible. King David was one of those kings who was completely wanted by the king when he was still not a king, just a very young boy, the lastborn in his house. And he was wanted. The king put a wanted notice on David's head. And every soldier, every person within the palace was hunting for David before he became a king. Do you know that the whole crowd was against David, but there was only one person who stood by David? The person's name was Jonathan. And Jonathan was the son to the king who wanted to kill David. Let me tell you something. If the whole crowd, the Israelites, were for David, if David's brothers were in his support, if every person in the palace was in support of David, today we will not be having any history about David. Because the crowd, within the crowd, there is always a traitor. When you have a crowd behind you, there is always a traitor within the crowd. All a person needs in his life is one person who can believe in him. All you need as a person is only one person who can believe in you. And the first person who believes in you that you highly need is yourself. You don't need a crowd. You need yourself. All you need is yourself. And a support that you do not expect, a support that might look like is somebody who's coming to kill you. Right now, as it stands, most of the people who come from Kenya, like myself, you understand so well that Ruto's son today will not eat in the same plate with Mr. Raila Odinga. We all know that Raila Odinga's son, currently as we speak, if they want to visit Ruto's family, they have to do it at night. They cannot do it in the broad daylight. Why? Because the crowd is behind Raila Odinga. The crowd is behind William Ruto. So when Jonathan only stood by David's side, David became the king. A person who was wanted by the king of the day was given opportunity to live by the son of that king. And he came to be crowned, not the son of the king, but the person who was being protected by the son of the king. And afterwards, Jonathan did not need or require the crowd. If Jonathan would have joined the crowd, people only speak about David. People forget about Jonathan. If Jonathan would have said that, my father is against David, and now I have to join the crowd and, finish David, kill him. I am his friend, and it's easy for me to get where he is. Instead, David chose one person and believed in one person. He never chose the crowd. He never went for the crowd. He went for one person, and he stayed with David. After the death of Jonathan, David took care of the family of Jonathan. I don't know if somebody is getting me clearly. My brothers and sisters, stop chasing the crowd. Chase yourself. Find yourself. Go look for yourself. If you have been lost, if you've loosened yourself, if you think that it is makeup that is going to make you become a somebody, if you think that you need 1,000 or million followers to feel okay, if you want to be an influencer and you want to become a public figure to become okay, you will not become, because no one is going to come. We have been in this game for years. I have been teaching people here for years. Some of you came to know me just recently. I have been in this field of motivation and counseling and coaching and teaching people online for years. But some of you knew about me yesterday. And the worst part of it is some people who knew us yesterday wants to become like us tomorrow. Some people who knew an influencer who used a certain ladder to go up wants to be like that influencer. A person who is a Christian, who believes in manifestation and believes in anointing, comes into a church, gets salvation, and the next day they want to open their own churches. Just because they are seeing that the pastor or the bishop or the person who heads the church is getting tithe and becoming a millionaire, we have allowed every other person to open a church all over the place, and people teach whatever they want, and they don't care whether they are changing lives. They care about the tithe, they care about the giving. Day in, day out, they teach blessings, and they tell you the more you tithe, the more you get blessed, which is a lie. It is not written. There's nowhere that points about the more you give, the more you get. But we have allowed it because we think that it is a crowd that takes us high. We do not believe in ourselves. We do not believe in one person who can hold our hands and take us to a point where we are supposed to be. It is time to find the revelation that sometimes, even if working in a company where people don't follow rules, it is better to lose that job, but to make sure that you force the people to follow the rule when it comes to you. If you're working in a company where people do not follow rules, let me tell you the secret. Don't force the company to give rules, or don't even take a crowd of people and strike. To strike to make this company do what is right. No. Make sure that what you do and what they do with you is the right thing. Force them to do the right thing. You have to stand alone. Because I will tell you one thing, you will become the laughing stock when you go for the crowd. Sometimes you get into a group of people or a company where people don't follow rules, when people don't do things like you are supposed to do. When you start to become the chair or the choir master, that you want to form a group and do what we call a coup, or maybe force people to strike not to go to work, you will lose because you're not going to get it. Become that person who stands and says that, yes, you have mistreated 1,000 people out of this company, but I'm this person who you will never mistreat. I stand by the law, I stand by the knowledge, I stand by the right. I will not destroy your company because I do not have that power. I do not destroy your company because it is not mine. People have passed here and people have accepted to be misused, to be done whatever have been going on. But it will not happen to me. That's what people don't understand. Be bold, be silent, be quiet, be like a calm water. But do your things silently. When you roar like a lion. And you roar, you hit a place where even the king has to bow down. That's the secret of living your life. Do not live on fear. People live forever, but we die only once. Nobody should ever tell you that we die once. No, you live every day. Don't ever fear. My dear sisters and brothers, and as long as you still breathe, and as long as you still have a mouth, a hand to hold a glass of water and drink the way I'm drinking it, do not fear, because the Lord is with you. Do not fear, because the God that you serve is watching on you. Every single night, pray. Put your knees down and pray. I'm telling you, the people who are persecuting you, do not persecute them. The people who are doing the wrong things to you, do not do wrong things to them. These are people that will live in diseases that they will not even have medicine to cure. God gives the wrong people life, a painful life that they cannot even fathom. A life that they will go to hospitals and nobody will even ever tell them that you are ailing from this kind of a disease. The people who have got bad heart, the people who have got bad attitude, the people who think bad about you will suffer, and you will live to see them suffer. We have a God that does not leave and forsake his children. When you think that some people are mistreating you and you want to fight them, you want to fight these people, you are fighting God. Don't fight God. God never brings anything to you that you cannot manage. God brings persecution to those people who are strong enough to take it. The Lord that we serve, that I serve myself, I believe 100% that he never brings any persecution that we cannot manage. He brings the things that will teach us to be patient. He brings the things that will teach us to be wise. He brings the things that will teach us to be strong enough, to persevere, to go through those, to encounter. And the people who persecute you, when somebody starts to persecute you, thank God for their persecution and learn how to live by it. Ask God for the strength, ask God for the knowledge, ask God for the wisdom, and see how God is going to bless you in another side. Somebody can destroy your relationship, and you can see your relationship damaging. You can find out that you dated, you married, you got married in a very colorful wedding, And somebody comes from nowhere and he starts destroying your marriage. He starts getting into your marriage and just confusing your husband, confusing your wife, and things happen in a way. And you can figure out, you can see that this is the woman who is interfering with my marriage. This is the lady who has been sleeping with my husband. This is the lady who has been taking all the time. Don't persecute the lady. Stay back. Hold on. And God, why? Question God. Don't question human beings. Question God, why should I pass through all this? Why have you allowed it to happen? Why did I, as a person, accept this? Is it because of your message? Is it because of a punishment? Because sometimes, again, God punishes us through these people that we think are doing the wrong thing to us. And I'll tell you something. You see, when Ayub was so rich, but was so loving and worshiping God every day, Satan went to God. And Satan asked God that, God, you believe that this guy trusts in you? You believe that this man loves you? Do you know that we can prove you wrong? And God permitted Satan to go and take away everything that Ayub had. Before people could open their eyes, Ayub was the poorest guy in that village, with diseases and boils all over his body. It reached a point where the woman, the wife that has been enjoying his wealth, came to him and told him that, what are you still doing with this God of yours? Why can't you just abuse him and die? But Ayub said that the God that I serve is a powerful God that nobody can understand. He allows things to happen to us, even the things that people will not understand. Let God do his part. When you are suffering, when things are so tough, when people are taking what is meant for you, don't quarrel. Ask them, why are you taking it? Let them tell you why. But when you realize that they do not have the right to take it, God gives us wisdom. A wisdom that the moment you choose to go for it, even the kingdoms that have been placed by man shake. Don't be somebody who have to revenge. Don't be somebody who wants to fight everybody. Relax. People are going to die before your eyes. And death is not taking the oxygen. Let me tell you guys, we have people who are walking but they are dead because of the wrong things that they used to do to other people. We have people that you guys know that cannot breathe. They have to support their breath. They cannot eat some things because their lives are full of dirty blood and everything because of the wrong things they used to do to others. So relax, my friends. Relax and turn to God. You do not need crowd. You do not need a good number of people to help you to cry. You need yourself. You need someone to believe in you. You need to be authentic to yourself. You don't need crowd. You need you more than you need anyone else. Remember, when people are clapping for you, when you see people clapping, don't be so happy. Don't think that you have a crush. Let me tell you, a lot of people who are clapping, they don't clap for your success. They clap because they see you have placed a certain bar or a certain standard that they are 100% sure that you will not be satisfying. They clap because they say that, we have gotten him. This is what we have been waiting for. They thought that they could manage. They thought that they will get married and succeed with their marriage. People will come to your wedding with gifts, with a lot of hugs, with a lot of kisses, with a lot of congratulations, and you will think that those congratulations are because of your wedding. No, they are saying congratulations because we have somebody we will be using as an example. Somebody that we will be using as an example. They are praying for your downfall just the same time you are beginning your journey. People are planting the seed of divorce immediately you take a vote to marry your person. People plant a seed of no success immediately you open your business. A crowd comes and claps at your business and they marry and they drink, and you think that you're serving people drink to celebrate your achievement. Very few people celebrate achievements. Don't go for crowd. Find yourself and find one or two people who can believe in you. Same way Jonathan believed in David when everybody did not believe in him. When even the king himself wanted to kill him. When even the king himself did not want to see him. Jonathan believed in David, and David became the king. Do you know what happened? There was nobody that David thought about except the family of Jonathan. And David asked, that I remember I used to have a friend in this region, a very old friend called Jonathan. Is there anybody from his family? Can people, sometimes when you read the Bible, don't just read it as a storybook. Don't just read it because your pastor is preaching about it. I'm not a pastor, but I read the Bible. I read it as somebody who believes in it. David asks the community that there was a guy here called Jonathan. Is there anyone? Can you imagine King Saul's family? There was nobody. They were wiped out. And there was nobody until the king of the day was asking, is there anyone from that family that I can bless? And the only person who was there was a man who was crippled. A man who was crippled, who nobody believed in. And that's the man that David blessed in the house of Jonathan. So do not go for the crowd. When things are wrong where you're working, when things are wrong in your home, when your family is doing something that you believe is not right, do not support them just because they are my family. When your leaders are doing things that are not right, do not support them just because they come from your tribe. When your family is killing another family, do not support just because this is my father and there's nothing that I can do. Stand for the righteous side. Stand for the right. There will become a time when you will be dead and gone. Your sons will be asking. Your sons will be questioning what happened to us. Your sons will be suffering in the streets, walking naked and mad because there's nowhere to go. But the moment you stand with faith and righteousness, the spirit of forgiveness follows you. You can never see diseases. You can never see failure. You can never see suffering. Some people want to make us suffer, but we don't. There are some people that are stationed. Sorry guys, just give me a second. At some places who feel that they want to make our lives difficult, but they cannot because of the plants and seeds our parents planted. The seeds that our parents planted long ago is keeping us alive. That's why every time I post on Facebook and I say that the prayer of my mother who lives in me, even though she's dead, is what keeps me going. The spirit of that woman that I used to listen to when she wakes up and she's crying and praying and telling God that, oh, cover my sons, bless them, lives in us. And it is what gives us wisdom. It is not wisdom that comes from books. Everybody reads those books. It is not wisdom that comes from knowledge, those degrees everybody has got them. It is a wisdom of the seed that was planted by our parents. The seed of which they said, I will not do anything wrong to anyone's son or anyone's daughter, but I will do everything right so that my sons, even when I'm dead, they will celebrate. And that is what we celebrate to date. People are stationed every corner who wants to see you suffer. But I will tell you, when God is right on your hands, they will suffer and you will laugh. They will send all the things they want to send, but it will never catch you. Some of us, we were told, oh, when you're going to school, don't follow this route, follow the other route. We followed those same routes that we were told not to follow, and we are alive to date. Some of us, we were told, don't eat from this home. We ate from those homes, and we are still alive up to date. You don't need crowds, my dear sisters and brothers. You need yourself. You need the spirit of discernment. You need the people who can believe in you and tell you the righteous things. People who can motivate you to go and persevere and pursue whatever you want to pursue in life. Life is not about achieving things because you are rich. It's not about achieving things because you have the golden bells. It's about achieving things because you have the right person in you. And the right person is you yourself. The right person is the Lord that we serve. The right person is that person who lives in you, yourself. My name is Johngora. I'm a life coach. Guys, next month, September, I'm having a group class, online class that happens every single month. And even though I always, share this with my students on my WhatsApp group, and this time I've allowed to share it with my, community on Facebook, community on TikTok. You can join that class, a 1 month class that takes 4 weeks. It happens every Tuesdays night, 9 p.m. Kenyan time or 9 p.m. Bahrain time where I live. So every Tuesdays, that means 3 Tuesdays, you will have to attend those online classes. It happens on Google Meet Live, class like this, and you can learn 3 days of great learning. You'll have to pay for that. It's not a free class, it's $10. You have to pay $10 and you will have a group class and you will learn a lot. You will meet other people who also are learners and you will also ask questions and learn from it. There are so many students who are already registered for this class who are always doing it every month. They keep on renewing their packages and learning with me, and their lives have been changing. I don't change lives, guys, and I don't teach people. It is my message that does. So don't ever think that I can change your life. It is my message. Remember, my message is a pain to some people. There are people who come and live with nothing. So it is upon you to look at my message. Don't look at me. I'm just a human being. Tomorrow I will be dead, but my message will live in you. So don't believe in me. Believe in what you hear and what you can listen to when I'm teaching.